Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you for a minute. We've all been there, caught up in a cycle, chasing things, people, situations that were never meant for us. We put our energy, our time, our heart into something, but deep down, we know it's not giving us anything back. That job you're giving your all to, but doesn't recognize your worth. That relationship where you're bending over backward, yet you're the only one doing the heavy lifting. That friendship where you're always the one calling, always the one showing up, but when you need something, you hear silence. We live in a world that constantly tries to tell us who we are and what we deserve. Every day, we're bombarded with messages that suggest we aren't enough unless we fit a certain mold or reach a particular level of success. But the truth is, your worth doesn't come from the outside. It doesn't come from how others see you, what they say about you, or even the achievements you've collected. Your worth comes from within, and it has always been there. The problem is, we often forget that. We let the opinions of others cloud our understanding of ourselves. We measure our value by how much we're liked, how much we're wanted, how much we're needed by the world. But none of that defines who you are. None of that dictates your worth. Recognizing your worth begins with a shift in perspective. It's about looking in the mirror and understanding that what you see is more than enough. It's not about perfection, it's about acknowledging your imperfections and realizing that they don't diminish your value. We're all flawed. We all have areas where we fall short. But that doesn't make us less valuable. In fact, it makes us human, and there is power in embracing that humanity. When you stop seeking validation from external sources, when you stop relying on others to affirm your existence, that's when you take back control of your life. That's when you begin to understand that your worth has never been dependent on what someone else thinks or says. We tie our worth to outcomes. If we succeed, we feel worthy. If we fail, we feel worthless. But your worth is not tied to your achievements or failures. It's not tied to how much money you make, what car you drive, or what title you hold. These things are external and they're temporary. They can be taken away. But your intrinsic value is something that no one can take from you. It's who you are at your core, and it's rooted in something far deeper than worldly success. It's time we stop associating our self-worth with the fleeting, temporary things around us and start valuing ourselves for who we truly are: unique, irreplaceable individuals with our own path and purpose. When you recognize your worth, you begin to set boundaries. You stop tolerating behavior that disrespects or undermines you. You stop giving your time and energy to people and situations that don't align with your value. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're selfish, it means you've learned to protect what's valuable you. You wouldn't let someone treat your most prized possession with carelessness or neglect. So why would you let them treat you that way? Boundaries are a reflection of your self-respect, and they're an essential part of recognizing and honoring your own worth. They tell the world, this is who I am, and I will not accept less than I deserve. Recognizing your worth also means accepting that not everyone will see it. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to recognize it. The truth is, some people are so caught up in their own insecurities and limitations that they can't see the greatness in others. But that's not your problem. You don't need everyone to see your worth, you just need you to see it. Once you do, you'll attract the right people, the ones who see you for who you truly are and appreciate you for it. The wrong people will fall away, and though that may be painful, it's necessary for your growth. We spend years seeking validation from people who were never meant to see our worth. We invest in relationships that leave us feeling empty because we're chasing after someone else's approval. But that's a losing game. The moment you start looking for validation outside yourself, you're giving your power away. You're letting someone else dictate how you feel about yourself. And the reality is, no matter how hard you try, you can't make someone else value you if they don't. You can't make someone else see what they refuse to acknowledge. That's why recognizing your worth is something that has to come from within. It's a personal journey, one that no one can walk for you. We all have moments of doubt, times when we question whether we're enough. But in those moments, it's crucial to remember that self-worth is not conditional. It's not something that fluctuates based on the opinions or actions of others. It's constant, unwavering. You were born worthy, and nothing can change that. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you need to do more or be more to be valued. But the truth is, you are already enough. You always have been. The journey is not about becoming more worthy. It's about peeling back the layers of doubt, fear, and insecurity that have been built up over time and recognizing the worth that's always been there. When you recognize your worth, your whole life begins to change. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop wasting time on things and people that don't align with your purpose. You begin to choose differently. You choose relationships that nurture and support you. You choose opportunities that challenge and grow you. You choose to invest your time and energy into things that bring you joy and fulfillment. And in doing so, you begin to live a life that reflects the value you place on yourself. Your actions become a mirror of your self-worth. There's a freedom that comes with recognizing your worth. It frees you from the need for external validation, from the constant striving to prove yourself. When you know your value, you no longer feel the need to chase after things or people that aren't choosing you. You understand that what's meant for you will come to you, not because you've chased it, but because you've aligned yourself with it. You've become the kind of person who naturally attracts the right opportunities, the right relationships, the right circumstances, because you've recognized that you deserve them. Recognizing your worth is also about self-compassion. It's about giving yourself grace when you stumble, when you fall short, when things don't go as planned. It's easy to be hard on ourselves, to criticize and judge ourselves harshly for our mistakes. But true self-worth comes from understanding that your value doesn't diminish when you fail. Failure is part of the process, part of growth. It doesn't define you. What defines you is how you respond to it, how you pick yourself up, and how you keep moving forward, knowing that your worth remains intact. Recognizing your worth is an ongoing journey. It's not a destination you reach once and for all. There will be times when doubt creeps in, when old insecurities resurface. But each time that happens, it's an opportunity to remind yourself of the truth. You are worthy. You are valuable. And you don't need to prove that to anyone. Your worth is inherent. And once you fully recognize that, the world opens up in ways you never imagined. There comes a point in life when you have to take an honest look at the things, people, and situations that are weighing you down. Sometimes we become so accustomed to carrying certain burdens that we don't even realize how heavy they are. We get used to the stress, the tension, the emotional toll, and before long it feels normal. But here's the truth, it's not normal. You weren't meant to carry around emotional baggage, toxic relationships, or unfulfilling responsibilities. These things weigh down your spirit, drain your energy, and keep you from moving forward. They keep you stuck in a place you were never meant to stay. Letting go of what's holding you down doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing that you deserve better. It means understanding that some things are no longer serving you. We often hold on to situations and people out of fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of being alone. But what we fail to realize is that by holding on, we're making room for more fear. We're feeding it. We tell ourselves that we'll be lost without these things, but in reality, it's these very things that are keeping us from finding ourselves. Letting go is not an act of weakness, it's an act of strength. It takes courage to release what no longer serves you, but that's the first step toward reclaiming your power. We all have dreams, goals, and aspirations. But sometimes the things we're holding on to are the very things blocking our path. Think about it. You can't fly if you're being weighed down. You can't move forward if you're constantly looking back. And yet we cling to situations that no longer bring us joy or fulfillment. We stay in relationships that no longer nurture us. We hold on to jobs that no longer inspire us. Why? Because we're comfortable. Because it's familiar. But just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's good for you. Just because you've gotten used to the weight doesn't mean you should continue to carry it. Comfort can be a trap. It lulls you into believing that staying where you are is safer than stepping into the unknown. But comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Letting go isn't easy. It requires you to confront the truth about your life. And sometimes that truth is hard to face. It's painful to admit that a relationship has run its course, that a job no longer fulfills you, or that a friendship is toxic. But the longer you avoid the truth, the longer you keep yourself stuck. The first step to letting go is acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge that something isn't working anymore. And it's not a reflection of failure or weakness. It's a sign of growth. It's a sign that you're evolving, that your priorities are shifting, and that your needs are changing. And that's okay. Growth often requires us to leave certain things behind. Think about a tree in the fall. When the seasons change, the tree lets go of its leaves. It doesn't fight to hold on to them. It doesn't resist the natural process. It simply releases what is no longer needed, trusting that in time, new growth will come. The same principle applies to us. There are seasons in our lives where we must let go in order to make room for something new. But we resist. We cling to the old out of fear that there won't be anything better. We forget that life is full of cycles, that every ending is also a beginning. The leaves must fall before the tree can bloom again. One of the hardest things to let go of is people. We invest so much time, energy, and emotion into relationships that it feels almost impossible to walk away, even when those relationships have become toxic. We convince ourselves that things will get better, that the person will change, or that we're being selfish for wanting something more. But the reality is, some people are meant to be in your life for a season, not a lifetime. And that's okay. Letting go of a person doesn't mean you don't care about them. It simply means you care about yourself enough to walk away from something that's no longer healthy. It means recognizing that holding on is doing more harm than good. Letting go of what's holding you down also means releasing negative thoughts and beliefs about yourself. So often, the biggest weight we carry is internal. It's the self-doubt, the fear of failure, the limiting beliefs that tell us we're not good enough. These thoughts are like anchors, keeping you tied to the shore when you were meant to sail. We all have moments of doubt, but when you allow those doubts to define you, you're giving them power. You're allowing them to control your life. Letting go of these beliefs is not easy. It requires constant work, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge the narrative you've been telling yourself for years. But once you begin to release those negative thoughts, you'll find that the weight you've been carrying starts to lift. There's a deep truth in the idea that what's meant for you will choose you. In a world where we're constantly chasing after things, relationships, success, validation, it's easy to feel like we have to fight for everything. We're taught to hustle, to push, to go after what we want at all costs. But sometimes the things we pursue aren't meant for us. We spend so much energy forcing doors open that were never meant to be ours. We push and pull, trying to make things fit that don't, when all along, what's meant for us is patiently waiting, ready to walk into our lives when we're truly ready to receive it. When something is truly meant for you, it doesn't require you to compromise who you are. It doesn't demand that you sacrifice your peace or your values. There's no need for manipulation, forcing, or struggling. What's meant for you will feel natural. It will align with who you are and what you're becoming. You won't have to constantly question it or wonder if you're good enough for it. It will simply flow into your life, not because you chased it, but because it was already on its way to you. There's a certain peace in that, knowing that what is truly meant for you will never pass you by, even if it takes time. Often we become impatient, we want what we want, and we want it now. But life doesn't always work on our timeline. The things that are meant for us don't always show up when we expect them to, and that can lead to frustration and doubt. We start questioning ourselves, wondering if we're doing something wrong, or if we're not worthy of the things we desire. But the truth is, what's meant for you will come at the right time, when you're ready for it. Sometimes that delay is necessary for your growth. Sometimes you need to go through certain experiences, learn certain lessons, and become a certain version of yourself before you're able to handle what's coming. It's important to understand that timing plays a critical role in what's meant for you. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. It just means that the time isn't right. Imagine receiving something you're not ready for, whether it's a career opportunity, a relationship, or a personal goal. If you're not in the right space to handle it, it can easily slip away or even cause more harm than good. That's why it's so essential to trust the process. Life has a way of giving you exactly what you need when you're ready to handle it, not a moment before. And when you trust that process, you realize that there's no need to force things. What's meant for you will also fit. It will feel like a natural extension of who you are, not something you have to change yourself to fit into. So often, we contort ourselves to match someone else's expectations or to fit into a role that doesn't align with our true selves. We mold ourselves to situations and people that aren't meant for us, believing that if we just change a little more, push a little harder, then it will work out. But the truth is, when something is truly meant for you, it will embrace you as you are. You won't have to shrink or stretch to fit into it. You'll simply flow into it, and it will feel like home. This doesn't mean that what's meant for you won't come with challenges. Life will always have its difficulties, and even the things that are meant for you will require effort and growth. But there's a difference between something that challenges you and something that drains you. What's meant for you will challenge you in a way that helps you grow, not in a way that depletes you. It will encourage you to become the best version of yourself, but it won't demand that you compromise your core values or your peace of mind. It will stretch you, but it won't break you. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everything we want is meant for us. We can become so attached to a vision of what our lives should look like that we ignore the signs telling us that it's not right. We stay in relationships that aren't serving us, chase after jobs that don't fulfill us, or hold on to dreams that no longer reflect who we are. But the longer we cling to what's not meant for us, the longer we block what is meant for us from coming into our lives. Letting go of what isn't meant for you is an act of faith. It's trusting that by releasing what no longer serves you, you're making room for what truly belongs in your life. The things that are meant for you will choose you because they are in alignment with your purpose. They are a reflection of your growth, your journey, and your true self. When something is meant for you, it will complement your life, not complicate it. It will elevate you, not diminish you. This applies to everything: opportunities, relationships, and even personal achievements. When you're aligned with your purpose, you attract things that are aligned with that purpose. You don't have to chase them. They will come to you because they're a natural fit for the person you are and the person you're becoming. What's meant for you will also recognize you. You won't have to convince anyone or anything of your worth when it's truly meant for you. Whether it's a person, a job, or a life path, what's meant for you will see your value from the start. You won't have to fight to be seen or heard. You won't have to prove yourself over and over again. The right opportunities, the right people, the right circumstances will recognize who you are and will be drawn to you naturally. They will choose you just as much as you choose them. It's a mutual recognition of alignment and purpose. Patience is key when it comes to allowing what's meant for you to choose you. It's easy to become discouraged when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like. But rushing the process often leads to settling for less than what we deserve. When you settle for something that isn't meant for you, you limit yourself from experiencing what truly is. It takes patience and faith to trust that what's meant for you is on its way. It takes strength to resist the urge to force things or settle for something that feels good enough. When you know in your heart, it's not right. What's meant for you will feel right on every level. It will resonate with you emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. You'll feel a sense of peace, even if challenges arise, because deep down you'll know that you're where you're supposed to be. There's a difference between something feeling familiar and something feeling right. Familiar is often tied to old habits, comfort zones, and past patterns, while right is aligned with growth, purpose, and your highest potential. What's meant for you will always feel like it's guiding you toward your best self, even if it requires some discomfort along the way. You must understand that what's meant for you will not pass you by. There's a deep sense of peace that comes with this realization. You don't have to worry about missing out on what's meant for you, because if it's truly meant for you, it will find you. It will come into your life when the timing is right, when you're ready to receive it, and when the circumstances have aligned to make it possible. Life has a way of filling up every available space, our time, our minds, and our hearts. We often find ourselves so overwhelmed with things, people, and situations that we don't take the time to ask whether they belong in our lives or not. We hold on to everything: old relationships, past mistakes, unnecessary obligations, and then wonder why there's no room for what we truly want. Making space for what's meant for you is about clearing out the clutter, both physically and emotionally, so that you can welcome the things that are truly aligned with your purpose. It's about being intentional about what you allow into your life, because if you're constantly filled with things that don't serve you, you'll miss the opportunity for something better. Making space begins with letting go. We often resist letting go because we think that if we hold on to everything, we're safe, protected from uncertainty. But holding on to things that no longer serve you only creates chaos. It's like trying to pack a suitcase with clothes you'll never wear again. There's no room for the new things you need, because the old is taking up all the space. Letting go isn't just about physical possessions, it's about releasing old mindsets, limiting beliefs, and relationships that are no longer aligned with where you're headed. It's about trusting that by releasing what's not meant for you, you're making room for what is. Sometimes the hardest part about making space is recognizing what no longer belongs. We get attached to certain ideas, people, or plans, and even when they no longer serve us, we convince ourselves that we need them. We've invested time and energy, so letting go feels like admitting defeat. But holding on to something that no longer fits doesn't make you strong, it keeps you stuck. To make space for what's meant for you, you have to be willing to ask yourself tough questions. Is this job still helping me grow? Is this relationship still making me feel supported and valued? Is this habit contributing to my happiness or holding me back? Only by being brutally honest with yourself can you begin to make the necessary changes. Creating space in your life is also about creating boundaries. We often think that making space means clearing out physical or emotional clutter, but it's also about protecting the space you've created. Boundaries ensure that the space you've worked so hard to make isn't filled back up with things that don't belong. Boundaries with your time, your energy, and your emotions are essential for keeping the space open for what's meant for you. Without boundaries, you'll find yourself saying yes to things that don't align with your purpose, and once again, you'll feel overwhelmed and drained. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they're about protecting the space you need to welcome in what's truly meant for you. When you make space, you open yourself up to new opportunities. These opportunities often come in forms you weren't expecting. Sometimes we're so focused on a particular outcome that we don't even see the possibilities right in front of us. By creating space, you allow the universe to bring new things into your life, things that might surprise you, but that are exactly what you need. When your life is cluttered with things that don't serve you, it's easy to miss these opportunities because there's no room for them to land. But when you intentionally clear out space, you're signaling that you're ready for something new. Making space for what's meant for you also requires patience. It's not enough to clear out the old and expect the new to arrive immediately. Sometimes there's a waiting period where you've let go of what's not meant for you, but what is meant for you hasn't yet appeared. This can be uncomfortable, and it's tempting to fill the empty space with whatever comes along just to avoid the feeling of uncertainty. But if you rush to fill the space too quickly, you may end up settling for something less than what you deserve. The space you've created is valuable, and it deserves to be filled with things that truly align with your purpose. Patience is key to allowing the right things to come into your life. Trusting the process is another essential part of making space. When you've done the work to let go and create space, you have to trust that what's meant for you will arrive in due time. This trust isn't about sitting back and doing nothing. It's about aligning your actions with your intention and allowing things to unfold naturally. Often we try to control every aspect of our lives, but control is an illusion. You can't force what's meant for you to arrive before it's time. By trusting the process, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to make everything happen on your schedule and open yourself up to the divine timing of your life. One of the most powerful ways to make space for what's meant for you is to practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what you already have. When you're constantly focused on what you don't have, you're living in a mindset of lack, which creates resistance to receiving more. But when you're grateful for the things you've already created space for, you attract more things to be grateful for. Gratitude is about recognizing the value of what's already in your life and appreciating the space you've created for new things to enter. It's about being content with where you are, while still being open to what's coming next. It's also important to recognize that making space is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event. Life is constantly changing, and so are you. The things that served you 5 years ago may not serve you today, and that's okay. As you grow and evolve, you'll need to continually assess what belongs in your life and what doesn't. Making space is about staying in tune with yourself and regularly checking in to see if your life is aligned with your values and purpose. It's about being willing to make adjustments along the way, knowing that the process of creating space is just as important as what fills that space. Making space for what's meant for you requires faith in yourself. It means believing that you are worthy of the things you desire and that they are on their way to you. So often we doubt our worthiness and settle for less because we don't truly believe we deserve better. But making space is a radical act of self-love. It's saying to yourself, I deserve to have room in my life for things that bring me joy, peace, and fulfillment. It's trusting that by letting go of what no longer serves you, you're making room for something better, something that is meant specifically for you. When you make space for what's meant for you, you also make space for yourself. So much of our lives are spent trying to please others, trying to live up to external expectations, and trying to fit into boxes that weren't designed for us. But making space is about reclaiming your life for yourself. It's about recognizing that you don't have to carry the weight of everyone else's expectations or live according to someone else's plan for your life. You get to decide what belongs in your space. You get to decide what stays and what goes. By making space, you're giving yourself the freedom to live authentically and fully. Choosing yourself first is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of survival, of self-respect, and of love. In a world that constantly tells you to put others ahead of yourself, it can feel wrong to prioritize your own needs, desires, and well-being. But the truth is, if you don't choose yourself first, no one else will. You are the foundation of your own life. And if that foundation isn't solid, everything built upon it will eventually crumble. Choosing yourself is about acknowledging your worth, setting boundaries, and taking control of your own happiness. It's recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that by taking care of yourself, you're better able to show up for others as well. When you choose yourself first, you take ownership of your life. So often we let other people's opinions and expectations dictate our choices. We seek approval from everyone but ourselves, hoping that external validation will fill the void inside. But no one else can live your life for you, and no one else can tell you what's best for you. When you choose yourself, you stop looking to others for direction and start trusting your own instincts. You listen to your inner voice, the one that knows what you truly want and need, even when it contradicts what others expect of you. Choosing yourself first means giving yourself permission to live life on your own terms. Choosing yourself also means learning to say no. This is one of the hardest lessons because we've been conditioned to believe that saying no makes us selfish or unkind. But the truth is, saying yes to everything often leads to resentment, burnout, and a life that doesn't feel like your own. Every time you say yes to something that isn't aligned with your values or your goals, you're saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. Choosing yourself means understanding that your time is valuable and that it's okay to protect it. It means setting boundaries that honor your needs, even if it disappoints others. In choosing yourself first, you learn to prioritize self-care. And self-care isn't just about spa days and vacations, it's about creating a lifestyle that nurtures your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. It's about listening to your body when it needs rest, feeding your mind with positivity, and protecting your peace from unnecessary stress. Choosing yourself means recognizing when you're reaching your limit and taking a step back before you burn out. It means giving yourself the grace to slow down, to say no, and to put your needs first without feeling guilty. When you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to handle life's challenges and to be there for others in a meaningful way. Choosing yourself first also requires unlearning the belief that your worth is tied to how much you do for others. Society often measures our value by how selfless we are, by how much we sacrifice for the sake of others. But constantly putting yourself last leads to emptiness and resentment. You cannot be everything to everyone without losing yourself in the process. Your worth is not determined by how much you give to others, but by how much you honor your own needs and desires. When you choose yourself, you reclaim your worth from the opinions of others and place it firmly in your own hands. When you choose yourself, you stop settling for less than you deserve. Too often, we accept mediocre relationships, jobs, and situations because we don't believe we're worthy of more. We convince ourselves that it's better to have something than nothing, even if that something drains us or makes us feel small. But when you choose yourself, you raise your standards. You no longer tolerate relationships that don't honor your worth, jobs that don't fulfill you, or situations that compromise your peace. You recognize that you deserve more, and you refuse to settle for anything that doesn't align with your highest self. Choosing yourself first means stepping into your own power. It's easy to fall into the habit of giving your power away to others, whether it's letting someone else make decisions for you, or allowing someone's opinion of you to determine your self-worth. But choosing yourself is about taking back that power and standing firm in who you are. It's about trusting that you know what's best for your life, even when others don't understand your choices. It's about being unapologetic in your pursuit of happiness and fulfillment, and not dimming your light to make others more comfortable. When you choose yourself, you stand in your truth, and that truth becomes your guide. Another aspect of choosing yourself first is letting go of the need for external validation. We live in a world where approval from others seems to carry more weight than our own sense of worth. We chase likes, compliments, and acceptance, hoping that someone else's opinion will fill the gaps in our self-esteem. But when you choose yourself, you stop seeking validation from the outside world. You realize that the only approval you truly need is your own. You trust your own judgment, value your own opinion, and love yourself without needing anyone else to confirm your worth. External validation may feel good in the moment, but self-validation is what sustains you. Choosing yourself first also means embracing your own growth and evolution. As you go through life, you will change. Your goals, values, and desires will shift as you learn more about yourself and the world around you. Choosing yourself means being willing to evolve, even if it means outgrowing people or situations that no longer fit. It means being okay with the fact that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's fine. You are not here to live up to anyone else's expectations but your own. Choosing yourself means giving yourself permission to change, to grow, and to follow your own path, even when it takes you in a different direction than you originally planned. Choosing yourself first requires courage. It takes courage to walk away from situations that no longer serve you, to say no to things that drain your energy, and to put yourself first in a world that often asks you to put others ahead of you. It takes courage to stand up for yourself, to honor your boundaries, and to demand the respect you deserve. But this courage is necessary if you want to live a life that is authentic and fulfilling. Choosing yourself is not always easy, but it is always worth it. It's an act of self-love that empowers you to live fully, to love deeply, and to be the best version of yourself. Choosing yourself first is about creating a life that reflects your true self. When you choose yourself, you stop living for others and start living for yourself. You create a life that aligns with your values, your passions, and your purpose. You make decisions based on what feels right for you, not what others expect of you. You build relationships that uplift you, pursue work that fulfills you, and engage in activities that bring you joy. Choosing yourself means creating a life that feels authentic to who you are, not who the world tells you to be. It's about living fully, without apology, and embracing the freedom that comes from being true to yourself. Knowing what you deserve is the foundation of not settling. It starts with recognizing your inherent worth, understanding that you are enough just as you are, and that you don't have to prove your value to anyone. Often people settle for less because they believe that what they have is the best they can get, or because they are afraid that nothing better will come along. But deserving more isn't about greed or selfishness. It's about knowing that you are worthy of happiness, love, and fulfillment. Settling, on the other hand, is a form of self-betrayal. It's choosing something less than you deserve out of fear, convenience, or lack of belief in your potential. Settling can show up in various aspects of life, whether it's in relationships, career, or even in your personal goals. In relationships, people often stay in situations that are comfortable but unfulfilling. They tell themselves that it's better to be in a mediocre relationship than to be alone. But the truth is, settling for less than you deserve only leads to deeper dissatisfaction and regret. You can convince yourself that you're content, but deep down you know when you're not living up to your full potential. In careers, people often settle for jobs that pay the bills but leave them feeling empty. They forget that they deserve to wake up excited about what they do and to feel purposeful in their work. Settling in any area of life robs you of the joy that comes from truly pursuing what you deserve. When you settle, you're telling yourself that what you want is not possible, or that you're not worthy of achieving it. This mindset keeps you stuck in situations that drain your energy and leave you feeling unfulfilled. Deserving more requires a shift in perspective. It means believing that you are capable of achieving what you want, and that you have the power to create a life that reflects your true desires. It's about stepping into your worth and refusing to accept anything less. This doesn't mean that everything will come easily or without challenges, but it does mean that you trust yourself enough to walk away from what isn't right for you. Settling often comes from a place of fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of being alone. But deserving more means confronting those fears head-on and choosing to act in spite of them. It's easy to stay in a job that doesn't challenge you or in a relationship that feels safe, but growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Deserving more requires you to take risks, to step into the unfamiliar, and to trust that better things are waiting for you on the other side. It's about recognizing that your fear of staying stuck should be greater than your fear of the unknown. In order to stop settling, you need to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out, but guidelines that protect your energy, your time, and your self-respect. When you don't have boundaries, you end up saying yes to things that don't serve you simply because you want to avoid conflict or disappointment. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you're saying no to yourself. Deserving more means honoring your boundaries and refusing to compromise on what's important to you. It's about saying no to what doesn't serve you so that you can make room for what does. Deserving more also requires patience. Settling often happens when you're in a rush, when you feel like time is running out and you need to grab whatever is available, even if it's not what you truly want. But the things that are meant for you often take time to manifest. Patience is the key to allowing what you deserve to come into your life. It means trusting the process, even when things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like. It's about staying committed to your vision and not lowering your standards just because something hasn't happened yet. The best things in life are worth the wait, and when you settle, you rob yourself of the opportunity to experience those things fully. Part of deserving more is being willing to walk away from what no longer serves you. This is one of the hardest parts because it requires you to leave behind what is familiar and step into the unknown. But walking away is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of strength. It's about recognizing when something isn't right for you and having the courage to let it go. Whether it's a relationship that no longer fulfills you, a job that stifles your growth, or a lifestyle that doesn't align with your values, walking away opens the door to something better. Deserving more means trusting that by letting go of what's not meant for you, you're making space for what is. Another important aspect of deserving more is self-love. You have to love yourself enough to believe that you are worthy of receiving the best that life has to offer. Self-love is not about arrogance or entitlement, it's about treating yourself with kindness, respect, and compassion. When you truly love yourself, you stop settling for things that don't bring you joy or fulfillment. You stop tolerating mistreatment or disrespect because you know that you deserve better. Self-love is the foundation for all other aspects of your life. And when you operate from a place of self-love, you attract people and situations that reflect that love back to you. Deserving more also means having a clear vision of what you want. It's not enough to simply know that you don't want to settle, you have to know what you're striving for. What does your ideal relationship look like? What kind of career excites you? What kind of life do you want to build for yourself? When you have a clear vision, you're less likely to settle for something that doesn't align with it. You're more likely to stay focused on your goals and to take the necessary steps to achieve them. Deserving more means being intentional about your life and refusing to settle for anything that doesn't bring you closer to your vision. Deserving more is about persistence. There will be times when you feel discouraged, when things don't seem to be working out, or when you're tempted to settle because the path ahead looks difficult. But deserving more requires resilience. It's about pushing through the challenges, staying committed to your goals, and believing in yourself even when the odds are stacked against you. Persistence means refusing to give up on yourself or your dreams, no matter how long it takes or how hard the journey becomes. When you persist, you prove to yourself that you deserve more, and eventually, you will see the results of that persistence. Deserve more. Don't settle, because the life you want is out there waiting for you. You just have to believe you're worthy of it and take the steps to claim it.